That was the first. That might
Reed
have been
had a bad game.
Wow, Colin. That was the first time I've seen him get pantsed like that, maybe since he was in Philadelphia. And I understand he had Alex Smith for a lot of years in Kansas City, but he got completely pantsed. And how about the guy that did it, Vic Fangio? He had Fangio's number when he was the head coach for Denver. Even when I believe that maybe did he go back there, or was that Vance Joseph who went back there for defensive coordinator? Regardless, Reed's had Vic Fangio's number for a long time. And for Fangio to have that game with the defense and the way they were able to get after the quarterback, they didn't blitz one time. And they were able to sack him 6 times and have 11 quarterback hits. Crazy, crazy coaching job, I thought, by Sirianni and Fangio, and it's nuts to me that Reed got pantsed like that.
I think the takeaways from the game is if there was a game plan for the Eagles, you have to strike first. They did that. You have to capitalize on mistakes. They, for the most part, did that. And they got to get to the quarterback, and they did that. So those 3 keys in terms of not handing the game off, capitalizing on mistakes instead of being the one that gets their mistakes exposed, and being able to get to Mahomes. That is the key to knocking off the Chiefs. If you're able to keep him on his butt and never have him be comfortable in a game, then you have an opportunity to beat them. That team, talk about a dominant postseason, to think that the only opportunity for them to lose in that postseason was Matthew Stafford in that snow blizzard in their building when they had the ball on the 18-yard line with 3 minutes to go. That was the only opportunity that team really had to losing the entire postseason. That Packer game, I know, was one possession for a little bit in that second half, but that game was not close either. So to think that only the Rams and Matthew Stafford in that blizzard game was the only one who came close to this Eagle team, because this Eagle team was great. And in terms of a postseason run, postseason performance, it's pretty all-time great. And I got to give them all the credit, got to give that defense credit. They were firing on every cylinder. They didn't even need the running game. Everybody thought, oh, this is Saquon's game. It was his birthday, the whole thing. Where was he? Chiefs did a great job on him. So I got to give Hurts, that offense, and that defense a whole lot of credit in the game.
Under 60 yards. Under 60 yards for Barker and 25 attempts, too. I mean, do the math there, folks.
Yeah, the game stunk.
It really did. And quickly, one more bouquet of flowers. I thought the offensive line did a good job of protecting Hurts. I understand that the Chiefs
he operates so quickly, too.
Right,
He's quick.
And I saw, I'm sure everyone saw this. I'm interested if anyone can allude more on this. Becton would put his hand up. Mekhi Becton, he'd put his hand up right before the snap. And Becton, former New York Jet, moved to right guard. And I feel like that was something they had in the game plan, where he'd put his hand up and then they'd snap the ball and try to anticipate some stuff going on. Colin, I don't think I realized how big they were until I saw that statistic during the Super Bowl as well. The Eagles' offensive line is massive. And that Jurgensen, that center, is a bad dude.
Cam Jurgens.
The bad dude. I mean, he's a Viking. Might as well be a Viking out there. I thought they dominated the line of scrimmage on both sides of the ball, even though Barkley didn't play as well. And you know, we always say football is a game in the trenches. And I thought the Eagles did exactly that on both sides yesterday.
Good for the Eagles to win the game. The Philly fan drives me nuts. But, I mean, can we at least ask for a better game? Jeez. I mean, that game was over before it even began. And they never had an opportunity to get into the game. And then they spent the last 8 minutes of regulation clawing their way back into some statistical categories. You know, the box score watchers 20 years from now are going to get a pretty raw, incorrect impression of how Mahomes and company really played in that game. And that game and how they performed, I mean, geez, the Chiefs, let's forget about that for a second. Oh, my God. I know it's a testament to how good the Eagles are, but, I mean, for our Chief fans, that they were terrible.
They were playing with fire, too, Colin. You couldn't keep winning like that. You couldn't keep having that.
Well, they weren't even close. It wasn't even close. It was not even like it was they were playing with the devil magic.
I could argue they were due for something like that after all the close games that they were in all year long, and even during the playoffs against the Buffalo Bills. It's like, how many times are the Chiefs going to be able to pull it out? I thought they were due for a stinker like that. And shame on me for I was on the wrong side of the Chiefs all year. It seemed like, Colin, on our good friends at Hard Rock.
I mean, I was at the point where, I mean, it's time to stop betting against the Chiefs. I was the same way. I thought the Bills had it in them. They did not get that done. And then all of a sudden the NFC counterpart was able to take it to them and kind of give them a little taste of their own medicine, blowing them out in a big spot. So good for Jalen Hurts. I'm a fan of his. He carries himself well, and I don't think he gets enough credit because nowadays, especially, and we're talking about in 3 years, 2 Super Bowl runs, 2 postseasons where he mostly plays well, and his other 2 are 2 losses to Tampa. I mean, this is somebody who was drafted this decade, and he's already putting up a pretty impressive resume. He's probably never going to win something like an MVP, but instead of the Cam Newtons of the world, he's the Jalen Hurts of the world. I'd rather win the big one than get the trophy in the trophy room. And that, to me, is commendable, which is why I cannot help but give him his props and give him because how he handled that. I know he's playing with a great roster. Fine. Well, somebody's got to win the game.
Yeah.
There was a betting favorite for a reason, and he was one of, if not one of the better players on the field. So credit to him.
They asked him about his legacy maybe, a couple of weeks back, and he said, I just want to win. And that's something I could respect from a quarterback of his stature with the Eagles and on such a great team. We talk about all the time how a lot of these guys are worried about their legacy and what they're going to be remembered by, and I really liked Hurts's answer, and I thought he was well-deserving last night with the way he played and the throws he was making too. I understand a lot of the guys were open, but you still got to make the throws. You still got to make the play. The one to Devontae Smith, I was like, okay, this guy probably has it. You know what I mean?
First drive to A.J. Brown, that was that terrible offensive pass interference call. That was an excellent throw. And they weren't afraid to take shots. They went after McDuffie, who's the all-pro, all game long. That team was unafraid, and they didn't necessarily see the cloud that every other team sees. And they took him right to him.
Even when they sent the blitz outside of the interception, I understand it was bad, and that was Barton coming in on a blitz. But the touchdown, I believe it was the touchdown to A.J. Brown. They sent the house, and he had to make a decision quick, and he threw it up, and it was a perfect ball. So well-deserving. And Nick Sirianni, too, well-deserving. Who would have thunk? Who had on their bingo card after the Cleveland game when he was arguing with fans in the stands that he would have won a Super Bowl? I'm really happy for him, Colin. I got to say, I'm really happy for Sirianni. I know he's not a fan favorite by a lot of people, but I'm happy that he was able to win that game.
Yeah, I'm not happy for anybody other than Jalen Hurts, but I see the vision.
Why? What's wrong with Nick?
Hey, he's a...
Come on. Guys love him. He was getting bear hugs after that game.
Well, who wouldn't bear hug their coach, Mike?
And that Gatorade douse
with
might
4 minutes to go.
It was crazy with how much time was on the clock. But that might be one of the best Gatorade douses ever. Like he's kneeled down, the headset comes off. Yeah. He's completely. I love that. And by the way, yellow. Whoever bet on the Gatorade, whoever bet on the prop, it was yellow Gatorade.
And if you're sitting there thinking about how great that defense was, the defense was great, but that was not a defense let the offense win the game. That was both sides dominating. That was one of the more points they scored in the postseason comparatively to any other team in the run. That defense, they scored on almost every drive. They punted 3 times. That was a dominant front-to-end performance. That was not just the defense. That was not just the defensive line. That was that offense who didn't need their best player to play great. It was a big wake-up call for the Chiefs and the way they did it. And if you're trying to chase that historic moment and leave out a dud like that, bit of a stain.
I thought the Chiefs did. Quarter and a half, I'll give the Chief defense. Thought they played well for a quarter and a half. It didn't help their quarterback couldn't get first downs and the interceptions by the quarterback. But in the second half, I completely agree with you. Complete and utter domination.
The running defense, they centered it on that key. That was that key, and they did a good job with that. But other than that, when you're sending blitzes all game, and you got a guy who actually can process fast, and he was very good against the blitz. I know that was a focal point to what Jalen Hurts wanted to do, but he was excellent against the blitz because he got the ball out fast. If you're worried about pressure, Tom Brady, get the ball out fast. You can mitigate pressure. You can mitigate blitzes. You can mediate edge rushers by getting the ball out quickly. Brady did that against Seattle back when they had the number 1 defense in the league. Didn't bother him all that much.
What was going on with